"Sit down, Avery. I'm the one opening the gifts," my mother said, her voice sharp as she shoved me aside. "Since I'm the real mother here, I'll decide what the baby actually needs." The room went silent, the festive music suddenly feeling loud and mocking. She grabbed a hand-knitted blanket meant for my daughter, a gift from my best friend, and threw it carelessly on the floor. "And Liam, don't look at her like that. She's just the vessel. She's too fragile to handle the reality of a newborn." I stood there, 8 months pregnant and trembling, my heart hammering against my ribs. I didn't yell. I didn't cause a scene in front of my guests. I just slipped my hand into my cardigan pocket and hit the emergency speed dial on my phone, knowing the 911 dispatcher was already listening to every cruel, unhinged word coming out of her mouth. I watched her eyes flash with a terrifying kind of triumph, thinking she had finally broken me. She had no idea that her voice was being recorded and broadcasted to the very people who were coming to take her away. The smell of the garden lilies was overwhelming, but all I could focus on was the sound of the dispatcher's breathing on the other end of the line. This wasn't just a baby shower anymore, it was a crime scene in the making, and I was the one holding the evidence. My name is Avery, and I'm 31 years old. For most of my life, I've been the quiet one in a family dominated by my mother's narcissistic theatricality. I work as an insurance claims adjuster, which is a job that requires me to be meticulous, observant, and very good at spotting lies. Growing up, I was the one who kept the house running and the bills paid while my mother chased her failed dreams of being an influencer, always acting like my hard-earned achievements were actually her own. When I got pregnant, she didn't become a supportive grandmother, she became a competitor. She started acting like this baby was her second chance at the life I supposedly stole from her. I wasn't rich or glamorous, but I had something she never expected. I had a level of professional patience and a set of skills for documenting high-risk behavior that she never saw coming. I spent years watching her manipulate everyone around her, and I learned that the best way to stop a fire is to let it burn itself out while you hold the extinguisher. I was no longer the little girl she could bully into submission. I was a professional who knew how to build a case, and my mother was about to become the biggest claim I ever settled. If you've been quiet about your dreams because people didn't believe in you, or if you've had a parent try to claim your life as their own, subscribe. Share your story in the comments. Your voice deserves to be heard, and you aren't alone. Click hype to let me know you're here. We are building a community of survivors who know that the truth is the most powerful weapon you can own.
The garden party was beautiful, filled with a scent of blooming jasmine and the sound of laughter, at least until she arrived. I had spent months planning this baby shower to celebrate my first child with my husband, Liam. My mother arrived late, wearing a white maternity-style dress that made several guests mistake her for the guest of honor. She immediately began whispering to my friends that I was struggling mentally and that she would be moving in to take full custody of the baby after the birth. The humiliation grew when my mother-in-law tried to hand me a delicate family heirloom. My mother snatched it out of the air, claiming it would be safer in her own bedroom. "Let's be honest, Liam," she laughed, ignoring my outstretched hand and my mounting frustration. "Avery can barely take care of herself. I'm the real mother in this dynamic. I've already set up the nursery in my house. She is just the babysitter." The twist came when I realized she wasn't just talking. She had actually filed fraudulent paperwork with the state, claiming I was an unfit parent by using evidence she had fabricated from my private medical portal. She had stolen my login information and altered my history to make it look like I was suffering from severe prenatal psychosis. The betrayal only deepened as the days went by, and I realized how far she was willing to go to replace me. I discovered she had called my OBGYN's office pretending to be me, trying to cancel my upcoming delivery appointments to force me to use her unlicensed midwife friend at her house. She wanted me isolated, away from real doctors and real help. Then came the public insult. At a neighborhood gathering, she showed people photos of my messy house. They were photos she took after she broke into my home home and trashed my kitchen while I was at work, claiming the clutter proved I was a danger to a newborn. She even cornered Liam at his workplace, crying and telling his boss that I was having a breakdown. She told him Liam needed to take a leave of absence just to help her save the baby from my neglect. I didn't confront her or scream at her doorstep. Instead, I installed hidden cameras in my nursery and started a chronological log of every harassing text and unauthorized entry. I'm an adjuster. I know that evidence is everything in a claim. I watched the footage of her entering my home when she thought I was away, moving things, stealing my mail, and talking to herself about how the baby would love her more than me. It was chilling to see her true face when she thought no one was watching. My mother always thought my insurance job was just boring paperwork and filing, but she didn't realize that my specialty is fraud investigation and digital footprints. I had a plan they never saw coming. What she didn't know was that I hadn't just been typing at my desk all day. I had been building a case that would make her fraudulent filings look like a confession. I used my professional skills to trace the IP addresses of the anonymous tips sent to Child Protective Services. They all led back to her personal iPad and the local coffee shop she frequented. I also had high-definition audio from the nursery cameras of her admitting her plan to replace me once the baby was finally born. She thought she was the director of this movie, but she was really just providing me with all the footage I needed to shut her down. Every time she logged into my medical portal, I received a notification. I allowed her to do it just long enough to gather the digital proof of her forgery. I was playing a long game, waiting for the moment her arrogance would outweigh her caution. I found a strong ally in an old family lawyer, Mr. Henderson. He had dealt with my mother's antics for decades and kept a secret file of her past creative legal maneuvers that never quite crossed into the light. He was tired of her games and was more than happy to help me secure my future. My mother became so confident that she showed up at my house with a moving truck, demanding I hand over the keys to the nursery. She thought she had the law on her side because of her forged medical documents and her lies to the state. She began screaming at me on the porch, her face red with a twisted kind of triumph. She didn't know I was recording the entire interaction on multiple devices. The tension peaked when she raised her hand to me, screaming that I am nothing without her and that the baby belongs to her by right. She was convinced I was too weak to fight back, but she didn't know that I had been training for this my entire life.
The confrontation happened right on my front porch, but the audience was digital and far-reaching. I didn't fight her or try to push her back. I simply stepped back and pointed to the Ring camera and the live stream I've started for our entire extended family and the local police department. Mom, tell the 911 dispatcher and the 50 people watching this live stream exactly what you meant when you said you'd get rid of me once the baby arrived, I said, my voice cold and assertive. She went into a frantic, hysterical rage, admitting on camera to forging the medical documents and trashing my house, all while the police sirens grew louder and closer in the distance. The 911 dispatcher stayed on the line the entire time, recording her confession of filing false police reports and stalking. The police arrived just as she screamed, "I'll make sure you never see that child!" She was so caught up in her own drama that she didn't even notice the 2 patrol cars pulling into the driveway until the officers were stepping onto the lawn. I walked back into my home and locked the door with a satisfying click as the officers led my mother away in handcuffs. She was charged with stalking, fraud, and filing false police reports. A permanent restraining order was granted by a judge who was disgusted by the evidence I presented. My mother lost her glamorous social standing almost overnight, and she now faces multiple felony charges that she can't talk her way out of. The state cleared my name of all her false allegations within 48 hours. I realized that I didn't need to be the favorite child to be the one who survived this family. I just needed to be the one with the receipts and the patience to wait for her to trip over her own lies. Liam stood by me through it all, and when our daughter was finally born, the house was quiet and safe. There was no real mother drama, just the sound of a sleeping baby and the peace of knowing she would never have to grow up in the shadow of a narcissist. She wanted to be the star of the show, but she forgot that the camera captures the villain just as clearly as the hero. I spend my days now focusing on my work and my family, but I keep the cameras running, not because I'm afraid, but because I know the value of being prepared. My mother still tries to send letters from her lawyers, but they are all blocked. She is a memory now, a cautionary tale about what happens when you try to steal someone else's life. I am Avery, and I am the only mother my daughter will ever need. If you've ever had someone try to steal your joy or claim your hard-won milestones as their own, you know how much it hurts. Have you ever had to use your receipts to protect your peace? Tell me your story in the comments. Subscribe to join our community of people who refuse to be overshadowed. Click hype to help the story reach others who need to know they can fight back and win.
Did this story hit home? Let me know by liking the video and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Click hype to help this story find others who felt the same way. Your support makes a huge difference. Every time you share these stories, you help someone else realize that they aren't the crazy ones. You help them find the courage to start their own log, to record the truth, and to stand up for their own lives. We're more than just viewers. We are a network of protection for each other. Would you like me to write a script about a secret inheritance or a family business betrayal next? The world is full of people trying to take what doesn't belong to them, and I'm ready to tell those stories too. Until then, keep your receipts and stay safe. The legal battle wasn't just about the restraining order. It was about dismantling the entire web she had woven. We had to go through every single medical record and clear the notes she had added through her fraudulent access. It was a long process of restorative justice, ensuring that my daughter's birth certificates and my own legal identity were untainted by my mother's madness. Liam was my rock during the depositions. He watched the footage of her trashing our home with a look of pure disgust that I'll never forget. He realized then that the quirky mother-in-law he thought he had was actually a dangerous predator. We've moved since then to a house with a much bigger garden and a much better security system. My mother is currently serving her sentence, and I hear she's trying to influence the other inmates, but without a camera and a platform, she's just another voice in the yard. I often think about the day of the baby shower. I remember the exact moment I realized I had to be the one to end the cycle. It wasn't when she shoved me, or even when she threw the blanket. It was when I looked into her eyes and saw that she didn't see me as her daughter. She saw me as an obstacle. That was the moment Avery, the quiet daughter, died, and Avery, the adjuster, took over. I treated my own life like a high-stakes claim, and I made sure the payout was my freedom. My daughter is 6 months old now. She has my eyes and her father's smile. And the best part? She will never have to know the sound of her grandmother's voice. She will grow up knowing that she is loved for exactly who she is, not for what she can do for someone else's ego. If you are currently in a situation where a family member is trying to gaslight you or take over your life, please take a page out of my book. Start documenting. Don't engage in the theatricality. They want a reaction. Don't give them one. Give the police and the courts the facts. Narcissists hate facts because facts can't be manipulated. They hate cameras because cameras don't have feelings. And most of all, they hate people who were smart enough to stay silent until the handcuffs are clicking. Thank you for listening to my journey. Your support keeps me going, and it helps keep this channel alive to tell more truths. Stay vigilant, stay meticulous, and never let anyone tell you that you aren't the real authority in your own life.